General Hospital Spoilers show that Sasha spent months trying to create a quiet life away from Port Charles. She kept telling herself that staying far away was the safest choice, and that running off with Daisy was the only way to break free from the chaos that had been chasing her for years. Even though she hid away in silence, a part of her always felt she'd have to come back someday. That day came quicker and hurt more than she ever thought it would. Robert's death broke the fragile calm she had been holding on to, dragging her out of hiding and pushing her back toward the city she once thought she'd never make it through. The flight home dragged on, weighed down by memories and a sense of dread. Like Port Charles was pulling her back for reasons she didn't quite get yet. When the skyline appeared, Sasha felt that familiar weight settle back in grief, regret, and something else she just couldn't put her finger on. Instinct is that gut feeling we all get sometimes. The kind of knowing that doesn't come from thinking things over, but just feels right in the moment. It's like a natural guide that kicks in without us having to question it. Something felt off in Port Charles. It's more than just a funeral. Something had been building up quietly while she was away, just waiting for the right moment when she returned to the city to finally break loose. She didn't know how or why, but she felt like she was meant to be part of whatever was coming next. She wasn't the same fragile woman who had run away scared. Now she came back changed, tougher, with the kind of clear understanding that only comes from losing something important. Sasha Gilmore had stopped being just a side character in someone else's pain. She was about to be at the heart of the coming storm. As soon as she arrived in town, people started whispering. People already knew she was coming back to bury her father, but no one had any idea what her return would bring. The air in Port Charles buzzed with a kind of energy that no one could quite put into words. Underneath the sadness for Robert, there was something more restless, a feeling that Sasha coming back home was the start of something changing. A new center everything would start revolving around. Sasha felt it strongly the moment she stepped into the Scorpio house, surrounded by memories but also weighed down by the empty space left behind. But she didn't have much time to think about her loss. She heard about the chaos surrounding Michael and Willow almost right away. People quieted down when she passed their eyes, showing concern. Those who knew what was really going on exchanged glances that mixed worry and fear. And Sasha saw the clear tension of a secret stretched so thin it was about to snap. She soon realized that Willow had gotten into serious trouble, turning into something she barely even recognized. And that Michael was right in the middle of a messy legal and emotional disaster that was tearing the whole town apart. Watching Daisy closely. The lies. The fake innocence. The shooting of Drew. The drugging. The cover-ups. And then it hit them, no one really knew just how far Willow was willing to go to keep herself safe. Sasha let out a slow breath, her body going still as she finally put the pieces together. She used to know Willow as a friend, someone kind but hurt. But the monster people talked about didn't look anything like the woman she used to know. And Michael was sinking further into a darkness that brought back too many memories of Sasha's own past. She noticed how tired he looked, how his anger was just a cover for his fear, and how guilt seemed to grip him with every choice he made. The chaos Willow brought was pulling him down, putting both his future and Daisy's safety at risk. Sasha knew she couldn't just stand aside anymore while the destruction happened all around him. Robert's funeral would be the time she truly came back. The moment everyone in town finally noticed she was there again. But the true payoff, the emotional and psychological one, would come later, when she faced the mess Willow had left behind, and saw the parts of Michael still fighting to hold themselves together. Underneath it all, Sasha was just coming back to Port Charles right when everything in Michael's world was falling apart. That has to be more than just a coincidence. Some things just seemed too exact to have happened by chance. Her life story was changing, dragging her into the middle of a fight she'd been avoiding for years. At the cemetery next to Robert's casket, Sasha felt grief break her apart, but in the empty space left behind, something different started to take shape. Resolve means to find a solution or make a firm decision about something. It's about sticking with your choice and seeing it through even when things get tough. Whether it's a problem or a personal goal, having resolve helps you push forward and not give up. She felt a calm, strong, knowing that her purpose in this town wasn't to run from tragedy anymore, but to face it directly. She felt she owed it to her father, to Daisy, and maybe even to the part of herself she had left behind. If Willow's lies had spun a tangled mess of damage, Sasha was prepared to step in and break through all the manipulation and twisted plans that had ruined Michael's life. Because now more than ever, someone had to stand between Michael and the fallout from Willow's unraveling mind. Someone had to question the story, reveal the truth, and bring Willow's secrets out into the open before she ruined more lives. Sasha might not have wanted the responsibility, but deep down she knew it was up to her to handle it. Her return wasn't going to go unnoticed. It wasn't going to be easy. Sasha Gilmore came back not only to grieve her father, but also to take back her strength and step into a story that had been there for her all along. Rumors started spreading around Port Charles, buzzing with the kind of energy that usually comes right before a big change in the story Jacinda Bracken was about to leave General Hospital. Spending time with Michael felt like the start of a new, gentler, romantic chapter for him. Something calmer and more secure compared to the heartbreak he'd been through before. But fate, or maybe something more intentional, was already shifting the pieces around. Jacinda leaving wasn't just a simple change in the lineup. It was just getting rid of a barrier. The world of Port Charles was setting the stage for something bigger and more intense, the return of Sasha and Michael's connection, full of emotion and sparks. Sasha coming back was already shifting how things were. From the moment she came back to town for Robert's funeral, everyone noticed it. When Michael saw her, his expression changed so quickly, the surprise, the warmth, and then that sudden clear look in his eyes. It wasn't just nostalgia, it was recognition. Sasha returned tougher and more grounded, carrying the weight of loss but driven by a clear sense of purpose. She didn't shake at the edges of her life anymore. She stayed steady right in the middle, even when everything around her started falling apart. As Jacinda quietly got ready to leave, the emotional space between her and Michael grew slowly, in a way that felt almost poetic. There wasn't any anger or betrayal, just a calm knowing that some stories have to end so bigger ones can take their place. Sasha didn't slip quietly back into Michael's life. It was all about gravity. They had a history together, a daughter, and a lot of pain. But their healing started when they reconnected with something powerful enough to change the feelings running through Port Charles. But Sasha's role went beyond just romance. Right after she got back, she was thrown into another crisis, something no one thought she would get involved in. Anna Devane was in trouble. Real trouble. Her situation had become tangled in political traps, legal confusion, and a dangerous conspiracy that blurred the line between friend and enemy. Port Charles had seen Anna handle tough spots before, but this time it just felt off. People were talking about fake evidence, twisted stories, and foes disguised as friends. If the truth didn't come out soon, Anna might lose it all. And then quite suddenly, but maybe it was bound to happen, Sasha turned out to be the one who untangled the whole mess. It all began with a small detail, only she caught a loose connection between Robert's last papers and Anna's legal trouble. Most people missed it, but Sasha's grief had made her senses more alert. She kept digging, not just because she felt loyal to her father, but because she had this nagging feeling that someone had twisted Robert's network, or maybe even his death, to pin false charges on Anna. What she found ended up changing the whole storyline. Sasha found a digital trail, a hidden message, a coded warning that Robert had left behind just before he died. It was aimed straight at the people setting Anna up. The information was dangerous, the kind that could get people killed, but Sasha didn't think twice. She handed it to Anna, and for the first time in weeks, Anna felt a small spark of hope instead of the usual dread. Sasha's role quickly shifted from something accidental to something central. She went with Anna to meetings, figured out more of Robert's secret notes, and stood up to people nobody thought she would. She turned out to be Anna's unexpected protector, advocate, strategist, and the emotional anchor she needed in her toughest times. She went from being a grieving daughter to a fierce defender, surprising everyone in town and grabbing the attention of viewers. As Sasha stood up for Anna, Michael couldn't help but watch her with a rising feeling of admiration. The woman who came back to him was no longer the broken soul he had once tried to save. She had a lot of strength. Sharp, kind-hearted, brave. As she got caught up in helping Anna, Michael felt himself getting closer to her, admiring her strength and realizing the love between them had never really disappeared. At the same time, Jacinda's gradual leaving made things clearer. Michael's heart was already turning back to Sasha. The story blew up in every direction, romantic, political, emotional, and even dangerous, all tied together so closely that Sasha ended up playing a key role in several parts. She wasn't just coming back to mourn her father. She was stepping into a fate that put her right where love, justice, and survival all met. Port Charles was already shaking as the change took hold. Because Sasha Gilmore wasn't just back, she was getting up. And every storyline she got involved in was about to blow up. Sasha came back to Port Charles hoping for a fresh start, a chance to heal, to find herself again, and to take back the life she had left behind. After Robert's funeral was over and Willow's crime started coming to light, something surprising happened. In the town's view, in Michael's eyes, and even in the changing flow of the story, Sasha easily took the place Willow used to hold. Not through force or tricks, but simply by pure emotional pull. She ended up at the heart of the Corinthos family story. Stepping in as the emotional core and as the new mother to the child Willow had almost ruined with her obsessions. In all the ways that count, Sasha was stepping up to fill Willow's spot, not to replace her, but to be the one who really belonged there from the start. But with that rise came a shadow, and its name was Sidwell. Sidwell had thrown himself fully into Willow's plans, putting in money, feelings, and careful thought. She had served as an asset, a weapon, a shield, and a vessel for his ambitions. Now that Willow's empire of lies was falling apart, Sidwell felt exposed, vulnerable, and more desperate by the minute. Anyone connected to Willow was seen as a threat right away. Anyone who might expose what she had done or his part in it needed to be handled quickly. As Willow slipped further into madness and sank deeper into crime, Sidwell came to see that there was no saving her now. He was looking for a new target, a new person to quiet down, another name added to his ledger. And that's how the name Sasha Gilmore came to be. At first it happened quietly. Sidwell couldn't help but watch Sasha a little longer than usual whenever she walked into a room. The way he talked about her became colder, flatter, and more calculating. He started asking too many questions about where she had been, what her relationship with Michael was like, and how she was tied up in Anna's legal troubles. Something about how Sasha was moving into a role of influence into the emotional space that Willow used to have made him pull back inside. And there was a darker voice inside saying that if Sasha rose up, if she got power, if she helped to reveal Willow or Drew or anyone else involved, she'd tear apart everything Sidwell had worked for. So to Sidwell, Sasha turned into a threat that had to be dealt with. As Sasha helped Michael get his life back on track, grew closer to Daisy, and supported Anna in ways nobody saw coming, a new danger quietly crept into her world. Sidwell kept an eye on her from afar, watching closely like a hunter sizing up its target, waiting for the slightest sign of weakness. Sasha felt it after a while, a shift in the air, a shadow creeping up behind her, and the quiet weight of someone watching. But she shrugged it off, thinking the uneasy feeling was just from grief or the heavy emotions of returning to a town full of old wounds. Sasha only started to believe it when Anna warned her herself. Sidwell had started to follow her movements. He showed up in places she never thought he would. He said her name so casually that it sent a chill through her. Sasha wasn't simply moving into Willow's old space. She was taking on all the enemies that Willow had made. Sidwell was definitely the worst one. Sasha's storyline took a sharp turn that was sudden, violent, and impossible to ignore. She had gone from being a grieving daughter to a rising heroine, and now she was turning into something neither she nor Michael had expected a target. A woman targeted for removal because she stood for truth, healing, and the chance for justice. Sidwell knew that if Sasha fully sided with Michael, something she was already moving toward, she'd be able to get hold of information that could bring him down. If she kept backing Anna, she might uncover even more of the legal tricks he had been slipping in quietly. Sasha didn't realize she had gotten herself right in the middle of a storm. And Sidwell was set to make his move. The risk grew fast. Sasha saw some strange cars following her. Calls that dropped right when she picked up. A person standing across from Kelly's place late at night. Michael noticed the tightness in her shoulders, how she moved carefully, and the way her voice got tense whenever she said she was fine. But Sasha wasn't fine. A man who had already broken moral boundaries and was ready to break the law was hunting her. Sidwell wasn't just trying to shut her up. He was getting ready to break her. To get rid of the person who could fix everything Willow had messed up. Everything in Sasha's life started to shift: her sense of safety, her growing relationship with Michael, and her part in helping Anna rebuild her reputation. And the sad part was, none of it was her fault. Sasha walked into a fate that belonged to her, but by doing that, she also walked straight into the most dangerous part of Willow's shadow. Sidwell just wouldn't quit. Sasha refused to run. And Port Charles was about to find out that when a woman like Sasha Gilmore gets backed into a corner, she doesn't just get by, she changes. What comes next might really shake Port Charles to its core.